Welcome guys to another interesting tutorial. So this is what we're going to be making, one-sided butterfly dress by Vicky James. Okay, so here I have my paper which I'm going to use to illustrate. I've folded the paper into two. This is the front, but it's going to be serving as both the front and the back, as the design is just the same back and front. Okay, so I'll get my neckline measurements just for basic drafts before we do the main thing. So I'm going to be marking my shoulders and then neckline of 3 by 3 inches. Okay, so once I mark that, I'm going to curve the neckline using my neckline curve. Okay, and I'm going to be slanting the shoulders as usual, just anything basic. Okay, but for the sake of the basic students, we're going to be doing everything. So I'll measure from the shoulder to the bust line, and I'll mark the shoulder to bust line, which I'm going to roll across. Now I'm going to mark shoulder to waistline as well, and I'll mark shoulder to hip line, and then you can now determine the length of the garment that you're making. In this case, it is just a tutorial, so the length is not going to be much. Okay, so once that is done, I'm going to take the horizontal measurements, which is the circumference of the bust divide by 4, circumference of the waist divide by 4, and circumference of the hip divide by 4. Now at the end of the skirt, I'm going to just slant it a bit just to give it a little shape. Alright, I slanted by half an inch, so it depends on how fitted that you want it to be. You can see that the lower part of the skirt is not so much fitted, so I slanted a little like so. Okay, now for armhole depth, I came up by 1.5 inch from the bust length. This is for an adult that I'm explaining. Okay, so we're now going to curve the armhole as shown, like so, using an armhole curve as well. All right, now like I said before, this paper is folded into two because the design at the neckline is an asymmetric design. So whenever you're having an asymmetric design, your fabric or your paper is going to be folded into two. Okay, it usually has to be on paper, because if you're using fabric, you might just be wasting your fabric doing some cutouts, which might be necessary for you to do other things. So I'll fold, that's why I folded into two, so that when I open it up, we're going to now draw out the design that we want. Okay, so this is what I have. Now I've extended one side of this garment. Okay, I extended the left hand side. You can extend to as much as you want. The right side is showing the shape. Now look at the left side. You can see that I extended, I just attached paper under the other side and extend it to as much as possible, while still keeping the shape that we marked. Okay, so the neckline is slanted, and I'm going to use my curve to slant it to the design that I want. All right, I'm going to turn the curve the other way around so that it curves out very well. So I'm going to keep it like this. From the shoulder line, I'll slant into the armhole like so, and then I'm going to cut it out. This is the symmetric design that is on the dress. Okay, so once this is done, like I said before, I'm going to be using this to cut both the front and the back of the garment. Now the fabric has to be stretchy. This is the neckline, and the neckline has a little bit of elastic on it, right? So like I said, the fabric has to be a bit elastic so that when you sew your shape out, it's going to hold more on your body. Now for the other side of the shoulder, I want to slant it because of the extra paper that I added, so that it will not be hanging, to not look somehow at the shoulder line. It relaxes very well when you slant it. Okay, so the fabric here is folded into two, and I'm going to be taking out my markings on the fabric. The folding into two is for both the front and the back. For both the front and the back, so I will secure the paper on the garment before cutting it out. So now I'm going to cut, adding my seam allowance by the side, and of course the closure on this garment is going to be by the side, not at the back. Okay, so I've cut it out this way, and then the shape that we have on this left hand side, I'm going to use my chalk to mark it out, because we are going to be sewing on the right side. Okay, the way I'm marking, that is how we are going to sew it out. It's only on the other side I will turn over and sew on the inside, but this other side we're going to sew on top. We're going to top stitch on it on the right side, because you cannot fold it inside to sew on the wrong side. That extension will no longer be there. So I'll have to trace out my design this way, my shape this way, and sew on it from the armhole line. Okay, from the armhole line. So on this other side, this is where our zipper is going to be. All right, so I'll turn it this way. Because this is a miniature, I'll not be fixing the zipper. I'll just hold it down. All right, but remember that the zipper is going to be by the side, which will make it easier from under the armhole. Okay, this is the zipper, but I'll not be fixing it. All right, so depending on how you want it. Of course, the zipper can as well be at the back, but I strongly believe that it's better by the side. So I'll close the shoulder also, and then top stitch on the shape that I've drawn out, right? And that is the next thing that we're going to be doing. This is quite simple to make. Now I've done that already, as you can see. Now this is the elastic that is going to be used to finish up the neckline. We're going to cut the elastic like less than 2 inches of the actual neckline measurement, so that it can just hold it a bit. Okay, it can hold it a bit, because after cutting this, the neckline is wide. On a normal day we have to contour it, but in this case we're using the elastic to do the contouring and hold it in a bit so that it stretches. Okay, and then we'll fix our zipper by the side like I've said before, and we are good to go. So that is how to make this beautiful design, and I hope that you love it. And like I said, the fabric has to be elastic for it to give you a well-fitted shape. Now this is what we have. You can see the extension on the mannequin, everything looking so beautiful. Okay, please, if you've watched to this end, please kindly subscribe, like, and share, and leave a beautiful comment for us in the comment section. Let's know what your thoughts is. Or if you have any other way of doing it, we'll gladly appreciate.